Ever get stuck on those phrases in the Bible that sound super profound, but are kind of tough to really get? Like living righteously. It's a biggie, right? But what's that actually look like day to day?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into Deuteronomy 6.1-19 to unpack that very thing.
Sounds good.
We're going way past simple definitions, straight into the nitty-gritty of living a righteous life, practically speaking. And our trusty guide for this journey, this awesome text called Journey to Abundant Living. It breaks down this whole righteousness thing in a way that just clicks, makes it relevant for us today.
I like it.
So let's jump right into the verse that kicked this whole thing off, the first part of Deuteronomy 6.18. It says, "Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight." Sounds pretty straightforward, yeah. But maybe you're with me here. You read that and go, okay, but what does right and good actually mean, like from God's point of view?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's where things get really interesting. See, righteousness in this sense, it's not about sticking to some rule book. It's about this right standing before God, aligning our lives with His character. And that, friend, is way more than just checking boxes.
Hear you.
This book we're looking at today, Journey to Abundant Living, it tells this really powerful story about a woman who thought she was living righteously, following all the rules, but she wasn't exactly treating people with kindness or compassion. Truth be told, she was kind of judgmental. And one day she's reading this very verse, Deuteronomy 6.18, and it hits her like bam. It dawns on her that living righteously in God's eyes, it wasn't about the outward stuff alone. It was about her heart. It was about reflecting God's love and grace and how she interacted with everyone, especially those different from her. That's what it meant to align her life with God's character.
Wow, that's a powerful story.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how easy it is to get caught up in just doing and miss the being, the heart behind it all. And it reminds me of Psalm 34.15, where it says, "The eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous and His ears toward their cry." It's like God's not just watching from afar. He's actively engaged, paying close attention to those who are trying to live righteously. So true, so true. It really makes you think about how we can get so caught up in the rituals, the outward stuff of righteousness, that we forget what it's all about on the inside.
Yeah.
Like Proverbs 21.3, it says, "To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice." It's not about going through the motions. It's about our actions, our choices, lining up with what's in here.
Love how you put that. It's a good reminder that God values that real, authentic action over empty gestures. And speaking of action, I think it's important to really dig into what that looks like. Micah 6.8 does a great job, I think, breaking down those core elements of living righteously God's way.
Okay.
Acting justly, loving kindness, and walking humbly with God.
3 powerful pillars, for sure.
Yeah.
But how do we take those big ideas and actually make them practical? Like, how do we live those out every single day?
Right, that's the question, isn't it? And that's where that connection between faith and action becomes so key.
Yeah.
James 2.14:17 talks about how true faith, it's not just something we think about, it's something we live out. It's about putting our faith into action.
So it's not enough to just know
Yeah.
about acting justly or loving kindness. We've got to find ways to actually express those things in our daily lives.
Absolutely.
It's in those small, everyday choices that we make.
Yes. And the source material we're diving into today actually gives some really helpful, practical examples of what that could look like.
Okay.
For instance, one area it highlights is kindness.
Kindness. Okay, so let's talk about that. What are some ways we can show kindness just in our everyday routines? What does that look like, practically speaking?
Well, the good news is it doesn't have to be some huge, grand gesture,
Right.
It can be as simple as offering a genuine compliment to a coworker, someone who's stressed. Imagine you see someone drowning in paperwork, or maybe they just got some tough news. You taking a moment to acknowledge their hard work, to offer a word of encouragement, that could totally shift their whole day.
Yeah, it's amazing how these small acts of kindness, they have a ripple effect, don't they? We might not always see the impact, but choosing to be kind, even in those small moments, it makes a difference.
Absolutely. And another area the text highlights is fairness and integrity in our everyday choices.
Right.
And this one really gets to who we are when no one's watching.
It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when no one's there to see it.
Okay. You got it. It's about making those honest choices even when it might be easier to cut corners. or speaking up against injustice, even when it feels a little risky. It's about being the same person on the inside that we are to the world.
Living with integrity. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got kindness, we've got integrity. What's the third one?
The third one is service to others. Now, I know this one can sometimes feel a little daunting, like it requires a ton of time or energy, but it really doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. People hear service and they think, oh man, I got to sign up for some big commitment.
Exactly. And while those big commitments are fantastic, service can be expressed in just countless ways.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as offering to help an elderly neighbor with groceries or yard work, or just being present and listening when a friend needs to talk.
It's about approaching life with that spirit of generosity.
Yes.
Always looking for ways to make a positive difference, no matter how big or small.
You said it. It's about weaving service into the fabric of our lives, not treating it like some separate box to check off our to-do list.
And you know what I find so powerful about this? These three things, kindness, fairness, service, these aren't just random acts, they're reflections of God's character.
That's such an important point. We're talking about embodying these qualities in a way that points back to the very source of righteousness.
It's amazing how this deep dive has taken living righteously, which can sometimes feel kind of, abstract, and made it so practical.
Yeah.
It's not some impossible standard. It's about the choices we're making every single day.
And that's incredibly empowering, don't you think, to realize we have the ability to choose righteousness in each moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we wait for, it's something we actively take part in.
Totally. It's like we've been given this amazing toolkit, kindness, fairness, service, and now it's our turn to go out and use them to build something good with them.
I like that.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What's one small way, just one, that you can put these principles into action today? What kind of impact could that have, even in a tiny way, on the world around you?
That is such a good question. And you know what it makes me think about? Something we haven't really touched on directly, but that's been kind of woven throughout our whole conversation. If righteous living is, like we've been talking about lining ourselves up with God's character, what does that say about the world God wants to see? What kind of world are we through what we do, through our actions, helping to create?
Wow, that's a powerful question. And it really makes you realize this conversation, this whole journey into righteousness, it's not just about us, it's about something much bigger. So keep digging deeper, keep looking for those chances to live righteously, to be a force for good in the world. We'll be right here with you every step of the way, uncovering wisdom and practical stuff together.